Hello, Cathy Bramley here. I'm glad to see you again, joining me for another episode of Curl Up with Cathy Bramley. And today I've got a guest that is another author who I met last year, and her first book had me in absolute stitches. I read it on holiday last summer, and since then we've managed to meet in person, and she's great writer. I can't wait for you to get hold of her next book, which is out, which I've had the pleasure of reading. I'm delighted to welcome to Curl Up with Cathy Bramley, Caroline Hulse, and she's joining me any second. Hello.
Hi, Cathy. Thanks for having me. That was a lovely intro.
Oh,
I really enjoyed it.
Well, I did. I took your book on holiday. Where was I? I think I was in the Dominican Republic, I think. I just lay there on my sun lounger, just reading this book, just laughing my head off. And everyone was like, what are you reading? What's so funny? I was like, oh, you wouldn't believe it, but there's a 5-foot rabbit. And
The rabbit
it was
divided people, I think. I think some
yeah.
people liked it. Some people were like, what's this imaginary rabbit business?
God.
This isn't for me.
Yeah, so that was your first book. But anyway, we'll talk about your first book in a few minutes. But I thought it'd be really nice to talk a little bit about your new book, because you've got a book coming up in a couple of weeks. Do you know, I keep thinking it's almost the end of April, and then I look at the date and I realise it's only the 8th.
I know.
It's the longest month in history.
Days are long at the moment.
Yeah, you've got a book coming out on the 23rd of April, is that right?
So it's going to be the 14th of May, but potentially the ebook and audio are moving a little bit sooner. So I'm sure your audience understand it's all a bit of a strange time at the moment. So in the next month, there will be a book out from me.
Okay. Right, I'll show everybody the cover of your book. Like a House on Fire. Oh my goodness, what a brilliant book this was. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it's another comedy, as I write book club fiction, but with a sort of offbeat comic element. So it's about a divorcing couple who they decided to get divorced a few months before, but they're going home to a family party. So there's an anniversary party of one of the couple's parents. So they pretend they're still getting on for the sake of the mother for this party. So the whole book, well, the vast majority is over the duration of this day. And they've got secrets. Other people have got secrets. They all think it will go fine, and it just doesn't. So there's a spoiler. It just doesn't. So do they get on like a house on fire? Yeah, probably not.
And I just love the title is brilliant. It's just so perfect for that book. Did you come up with that title?
I did. It wasn't. I did, and then I suggested it, and then I didn't really like it again, because I don't know if you have that with this process. You kind of suggest things, and you go, I'm not sure, and then it sort of didn't feel like I'd come up with it. But then actually now I've obviously gone full circle, and I really enjoy it. And I don't know if you have that, because if you call it something else in your head for a while, it can feel like it's always that, whereas now it's really like a house on fire and has been for some time.
Yeah. The last book that my next one that comes out, ebook first in the summer, that had a completely different title for a year. And I really liked it. It's great. I'm not going to say what it is, but the title was great. And I really liked the title. Everyone liked the title, but when I finished writing the book, it just didn't suit it.
Interesting.
So I was like, no, I can't, it doesn't work anymore. So I think sometimes if you come up with the title before you write the book, it can be a bit difficult, because it doesn't fit it at the end. So but no, in that title really fits that book.
I love it now, and I love it with the cover, and I love that olive stick man stabbed with the olives. I think it really gives a sense of what's going on in the book.
Stabbed in the back with an olive. So where did you come up with the idea for this book from? What triggered it?
So I think what I discovered while writing the first book that I know we're going to talk about is that I didn't really think I wrote comedy. I thought I was writing a suspense book, which I know is really silly when you've read my books, because they don't read like that at all. But to me, I thought I was writing quite a serious thriller. So the adults, which we're going to talk about later, through that process, I learned, no, I write comedy, and then sort of had the confidence to bring it out. So this book was the first book I'd ever attempted to write as an actual comedy. So I was just trying to think of awkward family situations, And I did recognise, me and my husband have said, too much information, but sometimes, we're not getting on that brilliantly. And we go to one of our families, our wider families, you can sometimes find that it kind of brings you together a little bit. So, if you're having a bit of a niggle, suddenly you kind of go, oh yeah, within the context of the wider family, we're not doing too bad. So that was the kind of background to it. So originally, it was about this couple who hate each other, and then gradually, I think, they don't hate each other quite so much. And it was that combined with a murder mystery party. So the mother is having a murder mystery party, which is obviously lots of opportunity for organised fun, which people either like or dislike. So those two things sort of coming together, and then basically all the characters in the family have got different storylines going on and different things that they're finding challenging. But generally, I think I just like to give my characters a really hard time.
Yeah. And what I liked about that murder mystery was that the mum had made it. She didn't like buy one in. She made it up herself, didn't she?
She made it up.
And there was one guest that was just determined that no matter what was going on around them, she was determined to find who done it. And everyone was like, it doesn't matter anymore. We're just over the murder mystery. Forget the murder mystery. She's like, no, I need to know.
I think I'd be that person if I went to a murder mystery party. I think I'd want to solve it, even if I was like, it doesn't matter now. It was just a bit of fun.
And the kids all going off. I just like the kids are all the adults are just drinking and standing around and eating, and the kids are furtively looking around the house for stuff that will burn. And and just like, what the kids? Oh, they're having a lovely time. There's just so many layers to this book. Oh, I'd forgotten. Now I'm talking about it, I'd forgotten some of the little bits to it. But it's just the funniest book. The funniest book. Well, it's almost the funniest book because your other book was really, really funny as well. So
I'm loving this call.
I'll come back. So Like a House on Fire it's out soon.
Yes.
Date, up in the air slightly, but so ebook and audio is likely to be a bit earlier, and then but look out for Like a House on Fire. If you go into, make a note, put it in your wish list, and then you'll remember what it was. But honestly, you will, if you like comedy, you will love this book. I absolutely promise you. Right, I'm going to hide that so we can talk about your first book.
Yeah.
Tell us about the adult. Is it the adults or just adults?
The adults. So I've got so that's my first book, which came out in 2017. So this again is a comedy, as you can tell from the front. So it's again, I've realised I've written about exes again, but this was a story about two exes who have a daughter in common, and they get on well still. So they decide, for the daughter's sake, to all go on holiday for Christmas to somewhere that's like Centre Parks. It's not Centre Parks, but it kind of is. So because they get on with their new partners as well. So they're all kind of, they think they're grown-ups, like Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, who are isolating together, I see, in the newspaper.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, saw that yesterday. So they think we all get on. Again, what could possibly go wrong? And in this one, it starts at the end of the holiday with someone getting shot with an archery arrow during a game of archery. So, and then it kind of goes back to the beginning, and you look at what has caused this to get to this point. So I think in both books, they're quite similar in the sense that I think I recognise that there are certain situations that can put you under quite a lot of pressure, where I think, whatever age we are, we're still sometimes, just playing the grown up a little bit. There's things that can really make you niggle in your stomach, but you're trying to, pretend that's not the case. And, swans with the paddling feet. And, this is one, I think, when I read about Bruce Willis and Demi Moore and Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, all those people who get on really well. That must be quite strange for the new partners, and it's brilliant.
Strange for the new partners. Yeah,
it's brilliant they can do it. I'm not sure I could. Maybe I could, but you have to if you've got children in common. Of course, you have to make it work. But maybe you don't have to go quite so far as to go on holiday together.
No.
But yeah, my people they behave quite badly, but I sort of think they're justified. I think they get pushed to the limits by circumstances, really, and that's what I enjoy doing as an author, just kind of poking and prodding until they do something really bad.
Just there was some such funny moments in that. I've got a little tickle in my throat. But it was 2 years ago. I remember I just said earlier I'd read it on holiday last year, but it was 2 years ago. My goodness, yeah. So it had, yes, time has absolutely flown. So that was just, I think that sort of forced jollity of Christmas is just bring on a bit of a forced jollity as well, doesn't it? You've got to enjoy yourself because it's Christmas, and then you've got exes, and you're sort of, there was a bit like, a bit of competition between the women, or certainly the new woman, trying to compare herself to the older, or the ex, and there was just so much that they hadn't told each other, and then the new partners find out, and it was just sort of car crash comedy, wasn't it? You just thought, oh my goodness, no. Oh dear. It really, really made me laugh. And of course, having been on a holiday to Centre Parks, so I could sort of really envisage this sort of, artificial world that you can't escape from.
Yeah. And I think I was asked in an interview recently I did for a magazine, and they said, I assume you hate things like Centre Parks. And I thought, no, actually I don't. I really enjoy, there's nothing I like more than a bit of crazy golf and a bit of going around the swimming pool and things. It's not, it's an affectionate portrayal. It's not meant to say it's naff, but like you say, they are trapped in a cabin over Christmas in circumstances where they're finding out information, and people are drinking too much, and all those kind of things that maybe just don't bring the best out of people.
No.
People who in any other circumstance would be probably, really positive influence on society, etc. Yeah, they're not at their best.
No.
Trapped in a cabin with their exes.
What sort of thing do you like to read?
So I read a lot of crime, actually. That's probably what I read most of all. I read a bit of everything, if I'm honest. But probably my first love is crime. I mean, and that's probably why I thought I wrote it. Even though, you've read the adults, it's not. But it took me a while to sort of accept that I wrote comedy for that reason. So yeah, I love it. I love a good murder. I like a mystery. I like suspense. But generally, if you give me any book, I'm usually pretty happy.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because when I first started, I got my first synopsis or idea for a book. It was quite dark, and it was about finding some family moved into a new property, and they've discovered some bones in the garden. And but the thing is, I just couldn't help putting jokes in it, and it was just like, this is no one's going to take this seriously, so I just realized it just wasn't for me. And I think your own genre finds you eventually, don't you? If you keep working at it, it finds you. And I get people out saying to me, well, would you write in another genre? And I'm not saying no forever, but I can't imagine it at the minute. I just can't imagine not putting a light-hearted spin on everything.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I find if you write something, because obviously yours is comedy as well, and it's I don't know, I think because I respect it so much and other people do it, it feels like a little bit embarrassing to say you write comedy, because you're sort of saying you're funny, and I find that quite a hard thing to say. That not only are you writing a really good book, but it's got to be funny as well. And that, it feels like a layer of extra pressure. I don't know if that's part of the reason I never really thought that's what I did. And I'd say it was actually quite a relief when I wrote Like a House on Fire and it was funny. I felt a bit relieved then, because I did wonder, maybe I can only do it because I'm trying not to do it. And maybe if I'm trying to do it, it won't work, because it is so subjective. And I'm sure you experience the same. Some people will love your style, and some people, and how lighthearted it is, and some people that will just leave them cold. So it's an interesting thing. But I do think one day, I don't know, it's hard tonally, but I think one day I will probably try and write a different kind of book again. But I'm absolutely loving writing the comedies.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, that's fantastic, and really lovely to talk to you. I've really enjoyed, and I've enjoyed refreshing my memory about your two books. To say, you are probably one of my favourite authors. So keep writing, lots of new. Have you got anything? Are you working on something now?
Yes, I'm just doing the edits of the book that's out. I think, I'm sure we will find out. I think 2021. So I'm really happy with that. That's a coming of age story. It's called Fair. So it's a little bit of a diversion from my other two books. Are probably very similar in tone, and this one's a little bit of a diversion, but still a comedy, still the same sort of, people behaving badly, but not because they mean to, just because that life prods them a certain way. So yeah, that one's coming out, and I'm actually a little bit scared about getting the edits in for that one because I haven't got my next idea signed off. So I'm
Oh, don't worry.
do another book after that, but it'll come, won't it?
It will come. Yeah, it will.
I don't like
come.
the gaps. I don't know if you find that. I like to be working on something. I don't like to be waiting for an idea to come.
When I'm working on first draft for a manuscript, I'm like, I just got to get this book done. I've just got to get it finished. And then as soon as I finish it, I'm like, oh, now what am I going to write? Oh, I've got to write something else. I'm just never happy. Obviously, I'm, always trying to get to the end of the next thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I've always got something bubbling away, even if I'm actually not writing at the moment. So yeah, I'm already thinking about what to do for next year. I've got a few ideas.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the new book, and I can't wait to start seeing lots of reviews and other people enjoying it as well. Because then I can talk about it to other people, and they'll know what I'm talking about, which should be brilliant. Thanks very much, Caroline. Lovely to talk to you. Oh, Caroline Hulse there. Honestly, you if you haven't read her books, which you probably have, but if you haven't, you must get them because they are brilliant and they're just what we need right now to cheer us up. So thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again soon with some more of your favourite authors. Take care. Bye.